It's Nick Gaspard here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be going over how to buy a business with zero money down. And I'm going to give an example of how I bought my first business with no money out of my pocket. Now, first disclaimer, I don't always recommend going this route. And I do recommend being careful when you see these guys on YouTube that are saying, oh, buy a business with no money down and it's so easy. And just remember, if things sound too good to be true, they probably are. So just be careful, use caution. Obviously, like with anything in life, typically the more money you have to invest in something, the better it's gonna go. Because you have your own money, you've got skin in the game, your payments are gonna be lower, your interest is gonna be lower, you're just starting out in a way better position than leveraging everything and maxing everything out. But sometimes in life, that's the only way you have, the only choice you have is to leverage all your credit, max everything out, and just go with it. And sometimes if you're a real entrepreneur, that's what you do, and that's what I did. But I don't always recommend it, but I just want to go over that option in this video. And if you guys have any questions, just comment below and I'll respond. So the first step in, how to buy a business with no money down is you have to have good credit. So if you don't already have good credit, then you need to build your credit. You need to know what that is, how that works. I have another video on how to build an 800 credit score. I'll put a link above here where you can check out that video. But basically just start building your personal credit. Build your credit history, make sure you don't have any delinquent accounts. You might need some credit repair, but you have to have good credit if you're gonna buy a business with no money down. So that's the first step, is building up your credit. Learn your credit, learn where it needs to be, develop your credit, build your credit. It might take some time. I mean, this isn't a get rich quick scheme. It takes time to build your credit. It takes time to buy businesses, but it can be one of the most rewarding things ever if you do buy a successful business that you're good at and you enjoy working in. So the next step is you have to find a business for sale. So now typically there's a lot of businesses online with different brokerage sites. There's business brokers. You can just Google, business for sale in your state, in your city. And then you have to figure out what kind of business you want to buy. Do you want to buy like a restaurant? Do you want to buy like a bar? Do you want to buy some type of fitness facility? Typically, I recommend buying an existing business versus opening a new business. There's a lot of advantages, and I will make another video one day to explain the differences. But when you open a brand new business, you're starting from zero. You have zero customers. You're paying almost full price for everything, your equipment, your build out, your flooring, your materials, everything that you need, your construction. All those things you're paying, full price for those things. That adds up, and you're starting day one with zero customers. So usually it's better, in my experience, if you can find an existing business that's for sale, that they've already paid for the startup costs, they've already paid for the construction, they've already paid for the build out, they have some customers. A lot of times you can find a business that maybe it's not being ran right, maybe the owner's absentee, maybe the owner's getting ready to retire. I typically try to find a business that I understand, that I know how to do, that I have some experience in. But there's a lot of different websites out there. Another word of advice is it's going to take a lot of research. I mean, it's not usually you look at the first business and then that's the one you buy. I mean, usually it takes probably hundreds, if not thousands of inquiries. You're going to have to submit NDAs. That's a non-disclosure agreement. So once you find a business that you're interested in, you contact the broker. They're going to want you to submit an NDA. That's a non-disclosure agreement. That's basically just saying, hey, I'm not going to disclose the information that you're sharing with me, and I'm not going to go open a business next door to compete with you because you're giving me this private information. So you're going to fill out that non-disclosure agreement, and then the broker is going to send you the information. Now, businesses that you want to buy, you want to make sure they have good books. They have good P&Ls. That's profit and loss statements. They have the last few years' tax returns they can show you. You want to see the bank statements eventually, because people can fudge a lot of things. They can fudge some of the numbers, they can fudge different things, but usually it's hard to fudge kind of the bank statements and the P&Ls. So you want to get the P&Ls, the profit and loss statements, and you want to compare those to the actual bank account. So I can make a spreadsheet that says anything. I can make P&Ls that say anything. But if I say this business is making $10,000 a month and that's not what's going into the bank account, then that's not right. Do your due diligence, do your homework, figure out the type of business that you want to buy. You're gonna have to do a lot of research. You're gonna have to call a lot of businesses, a lot of brokers. You have to talk to a lot of people, and you might have to go visit, check it out, see if there's anything wrong with it. Now, typically when someone's selling a business, I hate to say this, but usually there's something wrong, because people usually don't want to sell something that's making money, that's easy to run. So but there are situations where maybe they're just tired of it. Maybe they've been doing it for a long time, but just don't go into it with this so optimistic that like, oh, everything's perfect. Everything they're saying is 100% accurate. Everything's great. Usually it's not that way. Usually everything they're saying is not true. Usually everything's not 100% accurate. Usually they're inflating something, the numbers, the amount of customers, the amount of income. If somebody tells you it's making $5,000 a month, maybe it's making $4,000 a month. Or they say it's making $3,000 a month, maybe it's making $2,000 a month. Just kind of lower your expectations, lower your standards. That way you don't get disappointed, and that way you have a realistic outlook going into it. So that's the thing, is do your research, find a business that you want to buy. That's the hardest part, is figuring something out. Finding a business that is something that you understand, that you know how to do, that you feel comfortable running day in and day out. I don't recommend buying a business that you don't know how to do. I wouldn't buy a hair salon if I wasn't some type of hairdresser or barber, to give you an example. I've always worked in gyms. I usually buy gyms. I sell gyms. I understand that business. So I wouldn't buy a barber shop because I'm not a barber, just to give you an example. Or I wouldn't buy a plumbing company if I wasn't a plumber. So that's my advice, is find a business that you know how to do, you know how to run, you have some experience. It's just going to be way better. So finding a business, that's the hardest part. That's going to take the most man hours. That's going to take the most research. So typically you're going to want to find a business that offers owner financing, because a lot of these businesses, it's going to cost a lot of money to buy one. So usually you're going to want the owner to carry some of the payments, because you're probably, if you're trying to buy a business with no money down, you probably don't have $100,000 in the bank to write them a check, or $200,000. And to me, it shows some confidence from the owner if they're willing to carry some of the financing. It's saying, hey, I believe you're going to be successful. I believe I'm selling you a business, gonna work. It's profitable. You're going to be able to make these payments to me. Otherwise, they wouldn't sell it, because they'd be like, man, he's not going to be able to make these payments. I can't sell my business that's making me money right now to this guy that might mess it up, or girl, and then I have nothing. So usually they're showing you some confidence if they're willing to carry some of the payments. So carry owner financing, and there are out there. You just have to look for them. And sometimes they might say we don't offer owner financing, but once you talk to them, do your due diligence, meet with them, go over the numbers, then sometimes you can talk to them, be like, well, look, I like this business. This pricing's a little high. Could you carry some of the financing? Different things like that. Because a lot of times these people just want to get out of them. And if they feel like you're a good representative, you're a go-getter, you have some experience, you have good credit, you're taking this serious, then they'll be more willing to offer you some financing, some favorable terms. So, finding the business, establishing some type of terms, and then you're going to have to come up with some type of down payment, because even though they're owner financing it, they're carrying some of it. Nobody's going to carry 100% of the cost of the business. And that's another thing I want to say. Be careful. I see a lot of these guys on YouTube, these YouTube advertisements, where these guys are like, buy a business now, no money down. It's easy. These businesses have customers and all this stuff. So just remember, if something sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And they're probably just trying to sell you a course. Me, I'm not trying to sell a course, at least right now I'm not, but this is a free video. I'm giving you free information. If you want my help, send me a message below. I'll help you, comment. I'll let you use my expertise. I've bought several businesses for sale, owner finance, whatever. I've sold businesses. So I have some experience. I'm telling you things I've done. that have worked for me. It's not a get rich quick scheme. It's not guaranteed. I have lost money on some. I've made money on most, but I'm still here to talk about it. So I'm telling you what's worked for me. So this next step is getting a down payment. You're going to need some type of down payment. Plus, you're going to have certain expenses when you start the business. You're going to have your first month's rent, probably security deposit with your lease. You're going to need to sign a lease with the landlord. Now, you're going to need good credit for that too. You're going to need good financials. They're going to want to see a lot of stuff. Most of the time, they don't just let you sign a lease with bad credit, no financials, no good work history. So, remember that. You're going to have to sign a lease. You're going to need deposits for certain things like the utilities, insurance, different things. So that's another reason people say, oh, buy a business with no money down. You're going to have to come up with some money. You're going to have to come up with some deposits, just like signing a lease on a new house or moving into a condo or whatever. You're going to have some expenses. You're going to have moving costs, things like that. So buying a business is the same way. You're going to have deposits. You're going to have, rent, security deposit, insurance deposit, utility deposit. The last gym that I bought, I had to put, and my credit's amazing, I had to put down a $2,000 deposit on the electricity or the utilities, and I don't even get that back. I don't get it back until I sell the business, which is crazy. But just so you know, there's going to be costs associated with buying a business. Even if you got the best deal with the owner, 100% financing, you're still going to need money to sign the lease, security deposit, insurance. You might have to buy supplies. You might have to buy goods. If it's, let's say it's a bar or a liquor store, you're gonna have to buy alcohol. It's a car lot, you're gonna have to buy cars. I mean, think about that stuff. You're gonna have some costs. So break down all your costs before you get started. So the next step is coming up. Typically, an owner is gonna want some type of down payment. Now, I'm gonna tell you what I did to get my first business, and I did with no money down, but I wanna tell you how I did it. I don't recommend it, but I just want to tell you, because I don't want you to think this video is clickbait, that it's real, and I really did it. I really did buy a business with no money down. But what I did is I took out a few personal loans with different banks at the same time. So let's say I got three $15,000 personal loans. They were unsecured personal loans. So an unsecured loan means it's not secured by collateral, by a car, a house, 401k. It's an unsecured loan. Now, the interest rates are a little bit higher, 6 to 8% typically, and the amounts are a little bit lower. Usually a personal loan, depending on who you are, your credit history, you can usually get those for about $10,000 to $15,000, maybe $20,000 each loan. That's why I needed three of them, because I had three $15,000 loans, and that was my down payment for the business. So I ended up borrowing $45,000 to put down on a business. And then I still had some deposits and stuff like that, which I paid out of my own cash that I had saved up. But that's how I bought my first business, and it worked out well for me. But I had leveraged everything. I took out multiple loans, I had multiple payments, but I was going into a gym that I knew how to run. It was a good location. I knew it was a good location. Had nice equipment. I knew how to run a gym. I had been running gyms for 10 years before I ever bought one, so I knew the business inside out. But anyway, that's how you buy a business with no money down. So I just wanted you to know there is a way to do it. I don't highly recommend that way, because you're leveraging everything. You're maxing out your credit. And if it doesn't work, you're going to have bad credit. Let you know the risk going into it. But sometimes if you're a true entrepreneur, you're a true risk taker, that's what you have to do to get started. And it's never easy. But first step, build up your credit. Second is find a business that you want to buy. This could take a long time. It could take, hundreds of inquiries, talking with brokers, talking with the owner. You might have to go see a few of them, go visit them. Another thing too, if you're flexible on the location, that helps too. If you're willing to move to another state or you're willing to move to another city, I think that helps a lot, because you might live in San Diego and maybe there's not a business for sale in San Diego, but maybe there's one that you want that's in LA or that's in, Orange County, whatever. So if you're flexible in the location and where you want to live, that's a lot easier too. You could potentially open a business, but that's kind of the last resort. I think the first step is to try to find a business they want to buy that's already existing. So we talked about building up your credit, finding the business for sale, and then coming up with the terms with the owner, and then you're going to come up with the down payment. So the down payment, the really only way you go with no money down would be to get a couple personal loans or maybe one or two personal loans from different banks. Just want to kind of get the basic concept out there, the basic information. If you want details, you want specifics, just comment below. Please like the video if you saw value in it. Please subscribe to the channel. I am a new channel. I'm trying to get some subscribers. I want to put a lot of content out there. I want to do stuff like this, how to buy businesses, how to invest in businesses, how to buy stocks, invest in stocks, IRAs, personal credit. That's my channel, and that's what I want to talk about. So everybody have a great day.